This is the Alabama Orthopedic Clinic D1 Training High School Football Preview Show.
Week 2 of the high school football season here on UTV 44. Jim Cox and Dan Brennan as we get ready for our matchup tonight. We've seen this game a lot over the past several years, haven't we?
Well,
Daphne and Spanish Fort?
Yeah, sure. It's I mean, when you're putting the schedule together before the season starts back in May, June, July, when we talk about this, it's one of those games.
All those meetings we have?
They're long and very intense. But the point is, you got to circle this one.
Sure.
You know, Daphne Spanish Fort, Daphne Fairhope, oftentimes UMS Wright with St. Paul's, but they're the games that certainly are under consideration, and for good reason. These programs are always good, always competitive, and of course it's kind of like a neighborhood fight a little bit, you know?
Yeah, so we saw Spanish Fort last week, of course, failed to McGill. We'll have Ben Blackman talk to us about that and how, boy, you got to tip your hat to McGill. They look like they are right back in their perennial powerhouse spot in 7A.
And we'll talk to Ben about this. There was one of those games that somehow didn't feel dominant, and yet the score ended up what it ended up to be. And I think there were about 3 or 4 key plays in that game that swung it really out of direction for Spanish Fort. So anyway, we'll talk to Ben more about that. The congratulations to McGill, a lot of team speed.
Yeah, great start to the season for them. Dr. Clayton Lane, good to see you once again. And we see you on the sideline a lot during games. I know you spend a lot of time down there. And going to talk about something I know you're dealing with, heat-related illnesses, especially at this time of the year. Really hot and muggy. Kind of like it is right here in D1 right now. They don't want you being cool in here. You're here to sweat, right?
Absolutely, we're training you guys.
Yeah.
You don't even know it.
Yeah.
We're training.
Yeah, somebody needs to.
We need all of it that we can get. But talk about kind of what you're seeing and kind of what you're watching out for is regarding heat illness, especially early in the season here.
Sure. So, I mean, when you think of football injuries, you think of ACL injuries, shoulder separations, but really the most prevalent and most serious injury we see, and what I saw mostly in week 1, was heat illness. And the reason that's so important to know about is because it's the second leading cause of death in football. And a lot of people don't realize that. So while we love to talk about ACLs and shoulder separations, because I'm a surgeon and that's what I do, really the heat illness deserves more attention.
Is that something you can sometimes see in a player, just kind of see? Obviously, if they go down and they're cramping, that's one thing. But can you kind of, you've got, as a medical professional, you've got to know you sometimes have to see things and have to pull a kid over and be like, hey, we got to deal with something here? Absolutely.
It's important for parents to be able to recognize it as well. The first one's obvious. The mildest form of heat illness is heat cramps. And like you said, we're all familiar with that. That's the guy that's walking back to the huddle and then goes down on the ground in severe pain, can't move their leg because they're cramping up. But that's a mild form. That's mostly just affecting performance. What we really want to watch out is for heat exhaustion, which is the next level up. That's the athlete that's still sweating, but they're cool and clammy. They may be nauseated, starting to show weakness. That athlete needs to be removed from play into a cool environment. And then I guess the last one and most important to recognize is the heat stroke. And that's where things have totally broken down. The athlete is not sweating anymore. Their temperature rises to 104 degrees. They're starting to be confused. That's a real telltale sign if you see confusion in the athlete. These guys actually need to be emergently put in an ice bath even before taking them to the hospital, because that's a life-threatening injury.
Well, and something just like all of us, as whether we're working in the yard on a Saturday or whatever it is, or working out because of where we live, it's just a bigger challenge down here. Just as adults, we need to be aware of those symptoms because you could see somebody else having that and potentially help save their life. Absolutely. It's just important for us. I mean, the primary way we cool our body whenever we're exercising, mowing the lawn, or playing football is evaporative. That means evaporation of sweat. And so you want to pay attention to those things and avoid it. And the football player, they can't. I mean, we got this big guy, big muscles, generating a lot of heat. We put them in pads, we put them in a helmet, which block the evaporation. And then we throw them on the field where it's like this, 90 degrees and 80% humidity. And that's just a recipe for disaster. So you really want to take precautions against that. Yeah, well, know those things, find out about those things, because...
Well, yeah, and we're glad that you and your staff and your team are on our side, and for these young athletes as well. Certainly all of Mobile and Baldwin County, but for these young players that we get a chance to watch on Friday nights, they're practicing all week in this, you know, we got to have a heads up.
And we're all way aware of it more than it was 20, 30, 40 years ago, you know, what we're dealing with when it comes to heat. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
We'll
Great.
see you
Thanks
throughout the season. Stay cool. Get it?
Yeah,
All right.
I got it.
Come back. We'll get ready for our matchup tonight. We are in Daphne as we have got Spanish Fort on the road traveling to Daphne to take on the Trojans. We'll talk with the visiting team. That will be the Spanish Fort Toros. Ben Blackman, Carlos Johnson here with us, and we'll talk all about tonight's big matchup on the Eastern Shore coming up right after this. Week 2 of Friday Night Rivals here on UTV 44. Daphne and Spanish Fort, our matchup tonight. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Carlos Johnson. We talked about him a lot during the game last week. Ben Blackman, talked about him as well, head coach of the Toros. So, all right, so you know going into week 1, going up against a 7A powerhouse, you love that challenge, but you also know, we talked about it a little bit last week, like the stakes are magnified when, you know, in a matchup like that.
When you play an opponent like McGill and you make mistakes, they capitalize, you know, and that's the first time this 2019 team has competed. I mean, we didn't have a spring game. We did our inter squad, and so this is the first chance to go out and actually compete against another opponent. And, you know, we had some issues, and hopefully we got them fixed, and we'll go back and go back to the drawing board. So.
It just did not seem like, as you watch a game, you watch the line of scrimmage and you watch the progression of the game, you know, from our press box view through certainly the first 2 quarters, it didn't feel like a necessarily dominant performance by McGill. Yeah. They did what they had to do, but they made the plays.
Yeah,
that's
they made their plays and capitalized, and we didn't.
Right.
You know, and that was the difference. We had too many mistakes that cost us offensively, and then defensively we missed some tackles and gave up a couple big plays on big downs, critical errors that we've been focusing on all week, and so. But that's behind us, and we're ready to move on.
Yeah, and you know, the coaches talk a lot, you know, no matter the level, the improvement between week 1 and week 2, especially what you said, didn't have a spring game, really first chance to compete, you would expect to see that, and I'm sure that's what Coach King expects to see.
And of course, right, and what this team did a year ago, after losing to McGill in a similar fashion, next thing you know, they're the hottest team in the state of Alabama.
Right, so, you know, we talked about this last week. We said, you know, talk a lot about over the years the offense and the big numbers that are put up at Spanish Fort, but defensively is something that has also been a huge part of kind of in the DNA of Spanish Fort, the way those kids play defense, and wow, you got a good one. Causing havoc here in Carlos Johnson.
Absolutely. I believe he's the best in the state. I'm glad he's on our team, and he plays hard. He loves to compete. He's a fierce competitor. I don't care if it's at practice or in the game. He wants to compete, and he wants to win. And
sound like somebody else we know?
We'll
get
into me and him will get into it at practice about competing, you know, and it's just you know, I love him. I love his competitive nature, and I'm really glad he's on our side.
Yeah, Carlos, congratulations on a great career, and I had a chance to kind of be there in a way early on. You were such a good player as a freshman that you received an Optimist Club Lineman of the Week.
Yes, sir.
We all got some free roast beef, as I remember. It's not a bad thing. But talk about the game of football, what it means to you, and why not only have you played this long, but you've been able to be playing so well at a high level.
You know, I've been playing football since I was 6 years old, you know, so I actually, you know, I just grew up around the game of football, and I just started loving it. You know, it was at a time when I was small. I didn't like going to football practice. You know, I was like, I don't want to go.
Were you ever small? Okay, now, I was a big kid, I'm guessing.
You know, it was at a time I did not like going to football practice at all. It was hot, you know.
Yeah.
But then I love the game of football. You know, it's just one of my passions that I just can't give up at all. You know.
Awesome. It's going to be going to the University of South Alabama.
Yeah, I was going to say, Coach says you're best in the state and you're planning on going to South. Tell us a little bit about that process and that decision making for you.
South is an amazing place. I went on a camp June the 2nd, and I've been on multiple visits at South. Coach Campbell, Coach Bauer, they're amazing coaches. Coach Bauer is the defensive line coach at South Alabama. It's amazing there. At the camp, I stayed a little bit longer with Coach Bauer and Coach Campbell, you know, just walked around, watched a little film with their defensive linemen. You know, they treat it like a family, and I love that about South. So I think then is why I made my decision. You know, I want to call this place home.
The doors are wide open for their new son. They can't wait for him to show up. What's he going to bring to South's defense?
Well, he's dynamic. He can play inside. He can play as a tackle. You know, I think he's a mirror image of the kid they got playing over there now. You know, you know, he's going to be a run stopper. And then, you know, he's going to be able to put the interior lineman in predicaments when he pass rushes. So I really look forward to watching his career grow.
That's awesome. Then we'll be able to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about what you saw in Daphne week 1. They, like you, went up against a 7A playoff team in Theodore, who's going to be really good again this year. What'd you see breaking down the film, getting ready for this one?
Very athletic, very tough. Play hard for 4 quarters. Fight till the end. The traditional Daphne team, you know, they're athletic, got some really good skill. Quarterback is a very good football player. Wide receivers, the O-line is big, and you know, then defensively they're real fast. They pressure you, so you know.
Other than that,
you know, that's it. You know, so I mean, we've done our study, and we know they're a good football team.
Well, we look forward to seeing this and the rivalry. You can't overlook the rivalry. It's a huge rivalry on the Eastern Shore.
Absolutely. I mean, I think 5 miles separates us, I-10. So our kids grow up playing against their kids all the time, and you know, so that's part of it. I mean, our school actually broke off from them. So.
Yeah, so there is that as well, to add a little more to the game. Carl, it's great to see you. Coach, we'll see you in the last segment as well. When we come back, we will hear from Kenny King, head coach of the Daphne Trojans, as we get ready for the matchup tonight. Daphne at home taking on the Toros, 6A region matchup here tonight, and we're excited to have it right here on UTV 44. Anybody notice?
Upgrade.
Yeah, we got the brand new Daphne helmet here. Head coach Kenny King. Coach wants to make sure that the show looks well. He doesn't want the old helmet on there. We got to have the new gold Trojans on the side. Trent Battle, quarterback for the Daphne Trojans as well. Our matchup tonight, they're at home playing host to the Spanish Fort Toros. And we were just talking about that. Coach last week go over to Theodore and take on a very good Theodore football team. And we heard a lot of people talking about some talent they have in the backfield over there, some young kids and some size, and that's a pretty good 7A football team over there, isn't it?
Absolutely. Theodore did a great job. We came in and we fought to them to the end, and but we fell short. But Coach has done a great job. Coach Collier is up there, and he's done a great job.
You know, so these guys, Spanish Fort takes on McGill. People forget that Theodore actually won the region last year.
Absolutely.
McGill was in because it beat McGill one-on-one. So you guys have been battle tested, that's for sure. Let's talk about getting ready for this week now. You've got your sea legs, your team's been in battle. Now you come home. Now you've got Spanish Fort. There's a lot of reasons that a lot of people are excited about Friday night in this game.
Man, it's a rival game. Everybody's excited. The community is excited. The stadiums will be packed, both sides. So, you know, Daphne Spanish Fort, you know, that's why I came back to Alabama to play in these big games and to be able to coach in these big games. So we're excited and excited about the opportunity.
Yeah, we're excited to have it here. Excited to watch this young man play as well. How'd you feel last week after the get through the opening game of the season? How'd you feel?
I didn't feel that great last week because I ended the game with cramps on an injury. But besides that, I felt like it was a good game for us to go into, and knowing that we playing a good opponent and everything like that, I feel like we took a big jump as a team after that game, and we developed a lot this week, and our preparation was outstanding this week so far.
Tell me about the jump. Tell me about what you feel you learned in that game, and now you're more ready for this first region matchup.
I feel like offensively we learned a lot about ourselves, about like how our run game, our passing game, stuff that works, some stuff that doesn't work so well, and defensively I feel like we learned about ourselves, some people that need to be some places here, some people that need to be some places there, and I feel like as a team we just made a great jump after that game.
And a lot of that's on the quarterback to point out those things and make sure. I mean, there's quarterbacks, even so we're not all that old, but like how much do you ever just like look at how much is put on a high school quarterback now compared to say just in all that not that long ago when you were playing high school football?
Yes, of course. Now in high school, man, we put a lot on our quarterbacks. I mean, they're the heartbeat of the team, and of course, Trent Battle has done a great job for us this year, and we're excited what he's going to do for us this year.
You know, we saw him last year come in circumstances where he had to play.
Yes.
He was just a youngster then. Where's the growth been for Trent? I've heard a lot of good things about him from over the spring, over the summer, even in the first game against Theodore. And most everybody is crazy about the kid and his makeup. So how has he improved, and what's the limit for Trent Battle?
First of all, he's a great kid. That's one thing that everybody has to understand. I mean, great kid, straight A student. He's a student of the game. He wants to be a quarterback. He wants to be a great quarterback, and that's what you look for in a quarterback. He's a great leader. He leads our team, and one of the big things we want to see is him throw the ball. We know he's a fantastic athlete, and he can, use his legs and go. But this spring, this summer, he showed he can throw the ball, so we're super excited about how far he can go. I mean, he's still a baby. He has 2 more years in the program, so the sky's the limit.
Awesome.
Talk about Coach King to say a student of the game, because there are quarterbacks or football players that do everything is required. They watch the film, they prepare like they should, and then there's others that just can't get enough of football. And I'm guessing that's kind of you, right?
The game is just so fun to me. That's why I never stop playing it, and it's always on my mind during class. It's almost hard for me to stop thinking about it just to get doing my schoolwork and everything. But I love this game, and Coach King's always told us if we love this game, it'll love us back, and it'll give back to us, and we give it all we have.
So excited to see the growth, and we're really gonna be excited to watch how well you play against a quality opponent. Talk about Spanish Fort.
So Spanish, they're a great team. They've always been a great team defensively, and we know we're going to get against them. We've watched so much film on them and everything, and I feel like offensively we've prepared so much that it's kind of going to be hard to mess up. But
yeah, getting ready for the game, and so you kind of know what you're going to get with Spanish Fort coming into a game, just like Coach Blackman was just talking about. He knows what he's going to get going up against a Kenny King coach team.
Absolutely, I mean, you know what you're going to get, but again, you expect the unexpected. You know, you got to make sure you prepare for everything, and again, it's a rivalry game. You got to make sure that you prepare for everything that can happen in a game.
One thing I'm excited for, Jim, is tonight we're going to see, when you watch this Daphne team, if it's like the Daphne teams we've seen in the past, and looking at the roster, some of these names aren't familiar. Speed. My man's got some people to throw it to that can really run, right?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of great receivers, guys like Darius Johnson, Q Miles, Malik McClain. There's so much depth on our receiving core. It's ridiculous this year.
Yeah, got some guys with experience there as well to go up and get the football. Well, we can't wait. I mean, could we have 2 better young men to represent high school football on the Eastern Shore here tonight? Yeah, just great with Carlos and you as well, Trent. We'll see you out there. Coach, stick around for the last segment. We'll come back and we'll get you ready for kickoff. We're about 10 minutes away. Spanish Fort on the road taking on the home team, the Daphne Trojans tonight. 6A Region 1 matchup right here on UTV 44. About ready to get you ready for kickoff here between Daphne and Spanish Fort. Friday Night Rivals on UTV 44. Before we ask our silly questions, I wanted to ask you, because between the 4 of us, there is some NFL experience in playing. Between the 4 of us, we're all together in this. Andrew, look, so you know what it's like to deal with injuries, play at that level, Coach. Like, just what was your thought when you heard about Andrew Luck retiring at 29?
I just thought, again, he has to do what's best for him and his family. If he's not healthy, he has to make that choice to go on and retire. But I mean, I hated the way it came out for him, and I wish he had the opportunity to address his fans and the team and whatnot before it broke. But again, I understand you got to do what's best for you and your family.
And he's in his fans, and I'm a huge NFL fan. But like, if you don't know what those players go through and put their body, you think about what the kids do on this level, but on that level, like, you just, none of us can imagine even what it's like at that level physically.
I mean, it takes a toll on your body. I mean, I can tell you myself, 3 wrist surgeries, couple of ankle surgeries, knee surgery. You go through it, but I mean, you love the game. You'll continue to do it as long as you can do it. But sometimes it's time to sit down.
And the final thought on that, I think, is that last year we were reminded just how good he is.
Oh.
That guy was fun to watch.
Yep.
Great talent, rare talent, so he's going to be missed.
Yeah, and his former GM didn't do him any help by never having any protection up front, him
No.
getting mowed down every game. So yeah, that was it. So great perspective on that. Thanks, Coach. All right, so here we go. Our little Bren in, Bren out questions. We asked the coaches whether they're Dan Bren in or Bren out on that. A woman used a grinding saw to break into a Botox clinic, and she made off with a bunch of anti-aging products. Dan Brennan.
Yeah.
Botox.
Yeah.
In or out? What'd you think? I was going to ask you to break into a store?
I thought you were going to ask me if I ever had broken into a store, but Brent out on that.
No Botox.
Brent out. No,
I'm out.
No, I'm you know, it can help with sweating. Sometimes I have heard that's a thing.
Brent in.
Let's see. Man was arrested Saturday night for fleeing several deputies, reaching speeds of over 100 miles an hour on his motorcycle through the Florida Keys.
Good, my man.
Spent a lot of time down there, but being on a motorcycle just going 100 miles an hour. Brent in, Brent out.
Brent out.
Coach?
Brent out.
I'm out.
Yeah, me too.
Motorcycles are not me.
No, I know. The end game just does not seem good from that. New Smyrna Beach has been designated the shark capital of the world. They said anybody who's been in the water there has probably been within 10 feet of a shark. Sharks. Brent in, Brent out. You okay with them?
Why would I be okay?
Well, because they're not. Most of them are just fine. They're not.
Get him out of here.
No.
No, absolutely not.
I always have to do the shark test. You know, if there's salt in the water, there are sharks there, so don't go in those waters.
Then,
Whoa.
well, sharks. I think sharks are cool. But I'm with you there. Let's see. Speaking of water, a 40-person brawl broke out at a Raging Waters water park in Sacramento. Started over someone stealing a beach towel from another at the Lazy River.
I read about that. So,
Yeah.
And the question is?
Water parks.
Oh, I thought
Brent in, Brent out.
I thought it was going to be 40 people brawled, which I'm out. Water parks, I'm in. That's fine.
I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, the kids love them.
Couldn't be more out. Just not me. Florida golfer.
Mister, get off my lawn.
Florida golfer said he was too focused on his shot to pay attention to the alligator walking in front of him. Everybody see the video this week? In or out being able to make a shot with an alligator 10 feet from you?
Make it or hit it?
Just hit the shot. Could you focus on that?
I don't know. I doubt it. I'm out.
Out.
Yeah, I'm running. I'm
no alligator.
scampering back to the golf cart and probably making sounds that are very high pitched while I run as well. High school football Friday night rivals right here on UTV 44. Spanish Fort, Daphne. Kickoff comes up in about 5 minutes. Dan Brennan, Jim Cox. We're heading to the booth. Kenny King and Ben Blackman heading to the sideline.